Jak będzie, niech pan powie.
Polish sail training ship Darmo Jerzy. This fully rigged ship is making its first voyage to the southern hemisphere, bound for Australia. Among the 150 Polish cadets on board are 2 young Australians who have been invited to share the experience. Hamish Mackey from Sydney and Andrew Koleski from Melbourne. Their voyage began more than 2 months before in the Baltic seaport of Gdynia. Poland has a tradition of sail training, and when the famous Dar Pomosa was retired, the children of Poland helped to fund a replacement ship, the Darmo Jerzy, meaning the gift of youth. Built in 1982, the Darmo Jerzy prepares for a historic circumnavigation of the world, a voyage of 9 months.
Ile?
40.
40?
Ja, z wozem 40.
Too big.
Większe?
Small one.
Dużo większe? Dużo większe. On ma 27.
Much smaller.
Teraz za duże.
Smaller.
Dzisiaj nie. Gdzieś na dwóch.
Pani dała jak
26. 27.
People on the wharf are a bit sad, seeing their friends and loved ones go. Not feeling too good myself, had a heavy night last night. But, it's quite an exciting occasion. I think people are looking forward to going.
It's just sort of hit me that we're actually going, and I think it's hit these boys too, because they're saying their last farewells for 9 months. Well, the flowers are out and the tears are rolling, so I guess we're on our way.
Third of September, 1987. The Darmo Jerzy begins its long voyage south, and an ocean away, another farewell. In New London, Connecticut, the American Coast Guard training ship Eagle prepares for her departure. 2 young Australians, Ian David and Christine O'Keefe, will sail with her to Sydney.
The Australian Bicentennial Authority. You will be received with the greatest warmth and enthusiasm in Australia, and I thank you for this wonderful contribution to our bicentennial celebrations.
Pistol, he has the card!
That's cool. Sorry, my rudder's right 10 degrees.
We're ready to go. I am.
I'm anxious.
Never been any place before, so I think that going to different countries would be a nice experience.
Engine ahead standard. Steady up on course 091.
You can feel that amongst them they're leaving home and they're going to be away from home for a long time. Dave's leaving 4 girlfriends. And he doesn't look too sad about it. I suppose he's going to get a couple more. But
more out there.
but yeah, a lot of people are leaving families, and that must be really sad for them. There's a lot of people on the phone this morning for the last time, and it's great to be on the way.
The Eagle was formerly a German training ship, Horst Wessel, built in 1936. This beautiful bark is now used to train future officers, both young men and women, for the American Coast Guard. There has been a resurgence in sail training, for there are many who believe it is the sea itself and the struggle of the sailing ship upon the sea in all its moods that provides the best environment for training, whether it be for a career at sea or simply life itself.
How you doing today?
Hi.
Good. You know we got a barber shop on board?
Yeah, I've heard.
You've heard? Well, you obviously haven't visited it, my son, have you?
No, I haven't.
Well, why don't you just visit it tonight? Why don't you get a haircut?
Christine and Ian, chosen as reserve crew for the Young Endeavour, were invited by the Coast Guard to join Eagle for the voyage to Australia.
Just not too much. Okay.
Christine will train with 32 other female cadets on board.
Gives a big smile, Ian.
What's this?
The first time I went aloft, I was actually overcome by fear. I nearly got to the stage where I couldn't cope. I thought, I can't do this. I felt like I was going to be sick. And I think just being up, it was 150 feet in the air with nothing around you at all, just total air, wind, the movement of the ship, and basically your life is in your hands. After going aloft quite a few times, you do overcome that fear. It's always a challenge, but you just become used to the height, I suppose, and that emptiness, and you do begin to enjoy it, and it's actually lovely up there after a while. It's really pleasant.
Blow off the bug leads, clues and buds. All around here.
These things get heavy. It's dangerous, that's it, full stop. It's dangerous. Going aloft is dangerous. Yeah. That's why they control it so strictly. But when you go aloft, if you've got someone next to you and you do it a few times with this one guy and you might have just met him or her, you become pretty good mates because you've conquered something that you know is dangerous, and on any other ship you just don't have that sensation.
Wait until after the Tagalan is set before you come down.
Just trying to get it back. Can't get a crease
We're hoping that this little squall front develops some wind that we can use. So what we're doing is setting some sail to take advantage of the wind that may be generated. And we're tucking in the leeches on the other sail to make sure that if the wind does come, before we have a chance to set them, that they don't slide around in the breeze and do some damage to the sail.
Main Tagalan! Sheet home! Heave! 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 That's well and higher! That's the starboard blade!
Pull up and press your starboard.
The Eagle's trip to Australia will take more than 3 months to complete, passing through the Panama Canal and then sailing west across the Pacific Ocean via Ecuador, Tahiti, and Samoa. She will make her landfall on the east coast of Australia in time for Christmas. The Dharmojerji will take a similar time to reach the west coast of Australia, but and she will sail the route of the famous clipper ships, crossing the Atlantic to Rio de Janeiro, then sailing around the Cape of Good Hope and into the Indian Ocean to make landfall at Fremantle. The Damo Jerzy is a school ship. Cadets learn the maritime skills they will need as future officers in the Polish merchant marine.
Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. This is Bravo Sierra Romeo Mike, Bravo Sierra Romeo Mike, Bravo Sierra Romeo Mike. Mayday, Bravo Sierra Romeo Mike. My position, 5400 north, 01633 west. I am on fire.
So, as you already know, there are some situations here at sea that English must be used, over the radio especially, but not only.
Jak panom mówiłem, nie każde mapy dają odległość między izobarami 10%. 4 izobary, prawda? Różnica 4. A na przykład niektóre mapy w tej chwili, co z centrum dostajemy z Melbourne, są opisane, ale one są w rzucie biegunowym. Są co 10 opisane.
The hardest thing about the voyage for me would have to have been the language problem. I could never have conversation with any of the cadets really because the conversation was always slow and quite forced at times. And it was only Andrew that I'd actually go up and talk to. And if he was busy, then I'd start getting lonely.
Przyszedłem
It can be monotonous and boring on board sail training ships, but I found that if you have enough interest, then you keep yourself occupied.
Punctualnie is on time.
Please, yeah, please, punctual. We'll get it right.
If I meet Andrew on the deck with this book, I sometimes sit down near Andrew and we learn one to another, because he teach me English language, but I teach him the Polish language.
Unfortunately, he's much better in English than I'm Polish.
But we understand one another. Yes?
Another one? You don't stop eating, bud.
Thanks, pal.
Szukania mi trzeba domu gitarą i piórem. A góry nade mną jak niebo, a niebo nade mną jak góry.
We have a little bit of a problem right on our intended course.
Tropical storm Emily is presently about 60 miles west of St. Vincent's Island. Okay, it's anticipated to be south of Haiti Wednesday night about midnight, at the same time when we're trying to go through the Windward Passage. And that puts us right in the path of it.
What are your recommendations?
I recommend that we turn around, go back through the Providence passages, and use its winds to take us around Cuba.
Let's do that.
Close the main one! Set the main lower and upper topsail! 2, 3! 1, 2, 3!
Hey,
some good winds have come up. I think it could be maybe a trade-off with the hurricane. So we're trying to set as much sail as we can so we can get some good speed.
See which one I want here.
It's could be the last time we eat pizza. We're heading for Hurricane Emily, which is blowing about 125 knots. Actually, we're running away from it. So we're having a bit of a pizza night to celebrate.
The Eagles successfully avoided the effects of Hurricane Emily, but the delay forced the captain to cancel a visit to the Colombian port of Cartagena and instead proceeded directly to the Panama Canal. It is traditional maritime law that all persons crossing the equator for the first time must pay homage to King Neptune.
Who is the leader of this disgusting mass of cankerous land sores?
Captain Cummings is no exception.
What a war, Captain! Front and center! Sir! Pay dearly for that insubordination. How dare such a particularly foul specimen as this rise to the revered rank of captain without first obtaining a session with the masterful king of the deep?
Half a world away, the Damo Dzierży also pays homage to the Lord of the Deep.
He still looks a little bit like a lizard.
You must chew and digest this holy bread. Chew it.
Oh, very good. What are you?
Lick my toe, James.
Pollywog, sir. Come on, walk. Give us rise, shellback from down under. Enjoy the rest. Let's take the road cast.
Come on, walk, Rockwell.
Piwo? Piwo? Może być piwo. W Australii. Dobre, zimne, australijskie piwo, tak?
Dobre.
Zimne.
Zimne.
Australijskie.
Australijskie piwo.
Piwo.
Zmęczony?
Nie. Ja nie. Przecież ja jestem blaczem.
What do you enjoy most about sailing, Hamish?
Scrubbing the brass. What else do you enjoy? Or painting the net under the bowsprit. Some of the best jobs, and I've got them all today.
We have to care about the ship, and it's very useful for the ship because it's our home. And it's better that our home is better painted.
Nie ma się zupełnie czemu dziwić, że tak się stało. I teraz zabieramy skórki po 52 metry, chłopaki. Rekordy Guinnessa długości skórki.
Dolny dobry na końcu.
To trzeba się wejść.
Ale po co?
No nie wiem.
Tam nie ma nic, tam jeszcze łańcuch nie wszedł. Hej! 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 Jak na boku daleko jesteś? Dopiero do kryje ciągną. Dobra, pośpiesz. Boka możesz troszeczkę ostrzyj zostawić. 138! 140!
In the southern latitudes of the Indian Ocean, the Damo Dzierży overhauls another square rigger, the First Fleet reenactment vessel, Bounty. The two ships will meet again in Sydney Harbour. Converging courses have brought 200 years of differing sailing technology together, yet there is a feeling of a shared tradition.
The difference between the two ships was just astounding. Ours was like a thoroughbred and the Bounty was like a pack horse. The Bounty was sort of wallowing in the swells whereas we were surging through them. When we passed it, we were under full sail and going at about 12 knots. To see another square rigger in the middle of an ocean was one of the great moments of sailing on board the ship.
Damo Dzierży, the gift of Polish youth, makes her Australian landfall at the port of Fremantle.
beautiful place and plenty of people here on the shore. Beautiful welcome.
Other ships will soon join her. The Varuna from India, the Juan Sebastian del Cano from Spain, and a number of smaller vessels from other nations.
This is better, this is better. The tears are in my eyes. Fly for me? Thank you very much. How are you? You got nice up there. It's like you got your sunglasses on.
Where are you actually from? Which part of Australia?
From Melbourne, yes. Yeah.
So you're sailing on to Melbourne?
Sailing on to Sydney and possibly back to Poland with a bit of luck.
Worth it? Oh, definitely. Yeah, for a welcome like this, it's definitely worth it.
So are you going on or are you stopping?
I'm going on to Sydney at least, and we have the choice to go on to back to Poland if we wish, but I think I've had enough.
Mam, panowie, najlepszy jest Paweł Roguszczak, zdecydowanie. Pobił wszystkich, uwaga. Jeremi. Masz tego robienia. Paweł, jest komórką? Nie ma.
On the eastern seaboard, other tall ships are making their landfall. The Eagle arrives in Brisbane having spent Christmas in Newcastle. She is to be joined by the Capitan Miranda and the Shabab Oman. Guayas from Ecuador, only 10 years old, also arrives in time to celebrate New Year's Eve, beginning of Australia's bicentennial year.
We have many countries all around the world, many people who are already joining with us here in Australia to help us join in our celebration. Will you join with me in thanking all those countries, particularly those who've sent their tall ships here to Australia? Good old Australia. 7, 6, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to Australia's bicentenary. Happy
The Eagle sails south to Hobart for the beginning of Australia's first tall ships race.
Careful in the sun out here. It's about 3 times as much sun rays here as there is at home in Connecticut. You're wearing sunblock.
There has been a crew changeover in Brisbane, and 140 fresh trainees have flown direct from the American winter to join Eagle.
Maybe once every 2 hours, depending on how much you're sweating. And make sure you cover up. If getting bad, go ahead and wear a top shirt. Or get something to put around the back of your neck so you don't get it burned too bad.
Now, the ship's sewage system is secured for 1 hour.
Ian and Christine, now experienced first-class cadets, help the few remaining officers and permanent crew in the training of the new cadets. They have only a week in which to practice before the start of the race.
You want to learn your lines so nobody gets hurt. And if you don't learn your lines, I'm going to hold you accountable. That's your job. It's your job as much as it's my job to be the OD on the bridge. So learn your lines.
Ian and Christine will leave the ship after the race, but 2 other young Australians have been invited to take their places for the return voyage to America.
Next one is the Royal Grace.
Both Tom O'Byrne and Kay Harbison were selected from several thousand young people who had applied to sail the Young Endeavour from Britain to Australia.
That's right.
They are both inexperienced sailors.
Okay, they're all on the mizzen. And as you go aft, they go higher. Right? What's the exception to that? Okay, anybody know why? Either way you want to talk about it. The Leachman pulls the sail. The sail's got, comes down like this. There's a grommet here. Leachman pulls that up.
You way back in and up
the sail, that into the sail, each side of the sail, into the yard. We can douse and keep control of it.
Good.
And it's important to know what's going on with these sails. We're trying to let you know a little bit what lines to pull, what lines not to pull on. Anticipate a little bit. The faster you move now, or anticipate the next command, the faster we'll be able to set sails. The faster we set sails, the faster we'll be going in the race. Maybe the faster we get back to the finish line. We're trying to win the race.
Work your way back in.
Ready, full stop and gaskets off. Full stop and gaskets off. You ready, fellas? Let fall.
Think positive, you're not going to fall, because then we have to scrub the deck.
How does it feel up there? It's awesome. It's a real rush. I don't know, it's kind of like having a big windsurfer, the way you hold on and lean back, and going aloft makes all the work like scullery and mess cook worth it. That's how good it feels.
It's great up there. It's such an exhilarating experience.
Tacking a square rigger through the wind is a difficult maneuver requiring concentration and teamwork. Under the guidance of officers, a senior cadet takes control of the ship.
Farewell! On the fore! On the main! On the mizzen! Ready to boat! On the fore! Leave your heads so sheet!
Man, my runner's left full!
On the main! Main to haul!
Stop or hold! We'll lay the damn thing. Back easy! Back easy! Ease the port braces to the leather! 6 knots, sir! Decimal 4 knots, sir! Decimal 3 knots, sir! All right, together! Speed's now decimal 2 knots, sir! Speed's now minus decimal 2 knots, sir!
All right.
Speed's now negative decimal 4 knots, sir!
We've been going flat out since 8 o'clock this morning. I'm knackered.
One thing the captain had mentioned today was that the entire evolution went slow. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we knew this was the first time we'd be setting and dousing the squircels. So we assumed we were working independently, and we deliberately went slow on the 4 because they'd never done it before.
I'll tell you another reason it went slow. A lot of these new third-classmen don't know their lines yet, and we have to take them by the hand and lead them to their lines. We need some more line drills. Just line up the ready boat crew and say, run and grab this line, run and grab that line.
Okay. Play the first note staccato, please. Okay, even eights. Bum, 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 Okay, full band from the top. Full duration. Full band at the top.
When we left Brisbane with a brand new crew of 140 some odd cadets, it's sort of a thought-provoking exercise to know that you're going to have to be in a tall ships race some 12 days later, and you only have about 7 days to train them. So in the last 7 days, when the winds were available, we have put them through their paces somewhat, and they have grown professionally and personally by leaps and bounds.
Walk a little bit higher! I'm down hole!
Oh, we're having an absolute ball. We were only saying a minute ago that the knowledge we've gained is absolutely incredible. We stepped on here looking like lost sheep. We didn't know one sail from another. We didn't know one line from another. We didn't know one crew member from another. We didn't know what officers were called. We didn't know what to wear. We really didn't know
Had no
a thing.
idea at all.
And I think the pressure's been on us a bit to pick all that sort of information up faster than normal. But the whole ship is geared for learning. It is a sail training vessel, and the enlisted crew, the officers are all flat out teaching the cadets what it's all about, because most of the cadets don't know much.
Comrade Dillman tried to take it off. Let's get
Hobart, on the island state of Tasmania, becomes host to the largest gathering of sailing ships in Australian waters this century. Like the Dame aux Gergy and the Eagle, many have sailed for months, crossing the oceans from east and west to be here for this occasion. In every vessel, large and small, young men and women trainees are learning something about themselves and about the sea.
Dar Młodzieży, this is Polish sailing vessel, Dar Młodzieży.
Very tricky.
Have you got the eagle?
We got most of them.
Who do you think's going to win the race?
The eagle.
Ah, sorry. The Dharma Jersey's going to win without a worry.
No way.
The 14th of January, the start of Australia's first tall ships race from Hobart to Sydney, a distance of more than 600 nautical miles. In light winds, the larger sailing vessels are permitted to use power to position themselves for the start.
Stop, maszyna! Dead slow ahead. Dobra.
Tight there. Keep it straight.
Looks like we have a little wind shift to the east, now the northeast. Starting to fill in a bit. And we're starting to move a little bit now. We're up to about 4 knots. But, things are looking better now, and maybe we'll have some wind now to make it around the point and then head us up towards the northern.
In the beginning, the Dharma Jersey actually pulled away. But somehow the Eagle's actually come forward. And as you can see, the Dharma Jersey on our starboard side, and we're pulling ahead, so it's looking good for the Eagle at the moment.
Bierzemy go i tego Sebastiana bierzemy.
After 2 days of sailing against adverse winds, the large square-rigged ships find themselves fog-bound and further south than when they started the race. For them, the wind came from the worst possible direction.
Very difficult factors, weather for us, especially for the square-rigged ship. Maybe that if the wind don't change in properly time, we never reach to the finish line.
Eagle 4400 14845. Over.
With time running out, Captain Cummings is forced to make a difficult decision.
And for Sydney, we have certain commitments to make in Sydney. The winds have not cooperated. You all have done a fantastic job, and my congratulations to you. Stand tall, and it's just that the gods weren't with us with the winds. Thank you for everything you've done. Go ahead, strike all sail, tailman.
All right, port the gallant. 2, 3,
out, and we really didn't get any further north of Hobart than when we started. In fact, we ended up south of where we started. And I'm really shattered. There's a terrible feeling around the ship. We've had to pull out.
Such a disappointment. We've been training hard for the race. We've been sailing extremely well, been tacking in less than 6 minutes.
The captain has made the decision. It's been agreed to by the tactical team. I'm very sad that we can't get going, particularly when the other boats, the other tall ships are still in the race.
3 days into the race, and the Eagle is motoring to Sydney. The Guayas and the Juan Sebastian del Cano have also withdrawn in order to meet their commitments in Sydney. The captain of the Damo Jersey must also decide whether to withdraw or to sail on until the time limit for the race expires.
Ale wszyscy płyną tu, także znakiem tego, że woda, kierunek właściwy mamy. Z tym, że jest to niebezpieczne i w związku z tym jest kwestia taka, albo wycofujemy się i pójdziemy bezpiecznie na szerokie wody, albo będzie cała noc na standbyu, w pasach i tak dalej, i tak dalej. Rozumiem, że chcecie się wycofać. Dobra, to będziemy próbować dalej, może inne pozostałe jednostki się wycofają i wtedy będziemy tak...
All cadets told me this is not finishing. Going to finish line, finish time, all time. Giving plenty working, all night standby on mast and going again, not finish, stop.
Fantastic. The wind's about 35 knots and it's just so powerful in the rigging. We've furled a couple of sails and they've been flogging and cadets have been on the yards and being sort of tossed about. It's just a really exhilarating feeling.
Yeah, well, I haven't got up there this afternoon, so I've been a bit disappointed. I think it's going to be my last time up there, or it would have been my last time up there, so I thought I might go up, but I haven't had the chance yet, so I think I'll have to go up later and experience it all again for the last time, which would probably be a bit sad, I think.
The Damo Jersey sailed on to the deadline and entered Sydney Harbour a day late.
I'm very happy this is going to Sydney under sails.
Few square riggers of this size have ever sailed the length of Sydney Harbour. It's a display of seamanship that Sydney-siders will long remember.
It's fantastic. Everyone's just so excited. The cadets are just amazed. They're taking photograph after photograph, all positioning themselves in front of it. Everyone just loves it.
The Damo Jersey and tall ships like her have come to us not only bearing goodwill and providing a brief spectacle for one special day in our history. They come to us as an inspiration that reminds us of our heritage They depart, knowing that the spirit of sail training will endure, as Australia joins them as another tall ships nation, united by sail and by the sea.
I don't think it's really going to hit me until I get back home and realise that Eagle's gone and I won't see her for many years, if ever again. And, you know, I'm back to a normal lifestyle. So all the feelings, I think I'm just trying to hold them off for a while.
It's been fantastic coming through Sydney Harbour. The place is just full of boats. Very proud to be here with my Polish friends. It's great.
Just coming under the bridge together with all the guys. It's been my last time up the rigging. It's been quite sad actually knowing that I'm not going to be doing any of this again.
I've just had the experience of a lifetime. It's been marvellous. I would do it again in a heartbeat, really would.
A ship is a creature which we have brought into the world, as it were, on purpose, to keep us up to the mark. In her handling, a ship will not put up with a mere pretender. A ship is not a slave. You must make her easy in a seaway. You must never forget that you owe her the fullest share of your thought, of your skill, of your self-love. If you remember that obligation, naturally, without effort, she will sail, stay, run for you as long as she is able. Or like a seabird, going to rest upon the angry waves, she will lay out the heaviest gale that ever made you doubt living long enough to see another sunrise.
Next week, we begin an exciting new series of Sunday stereo specials, as you'll see in a moment. And next tonight, Women 88, followed by our Sunday movie, Two Friends, about two girls who become passionate about each other and then estranged. It's a touching story straight from life, and starring Emma Cole and Chris Bradenko.
Sunday, an outstanding stereo special, The Brilliance of Sholti and the Chicago Symphony Orchestra.